Okay, I'm calling to order the November 19th meeting of the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. We're in room 103 at the Shattuck Street Municipal Building, Littleton, Mass. We have a lot of changes on our board tonight, so first I'll welcome newest alternate, Roseanne Bales. Roseanne's an attorney in Littleton, and give us a little summary about yourself.
Okay. Lived in town since 1987. Had 3 kids go through the school systems. Have worked as a nurse in long-term care and am now an attorney in town, finally working where I live. And all is good.
Thank you. Going to welcome new members. We had 2 members who have resigned, and so we asked the Board of Selectmen to respect our wishes to have 2 alternates move up into membership position. So Rod Stewart, welcome. Alan Bell, welcome.
Thank you.
And so we have a new board tonight. Decidedly new board, except me and you.
Yeah.
Me and you. Well,
Yeah.
Jeff, when he gets
Jeff.
here.
Okay. I wanted to talk about elections since we have a new configuration on the board, but we'll wait for Jeff to come in to do that. We did a good job. I guess I want to thank everybody for my day off last month, which was wonderful, but you got a lot done without me. So I want to thank everybody for getting to all the minutes you got to and approving. We're almost caught up. We still had a very lengthy set of minutes from June, and I think we're ready to go over the edits and the changes to that and try to get those approved tonight. So we do have time before the first hearing. I think the set that you have in front of you in your packet is a set that I went through and edited. I recused myself for the Kimball Farm discussion, so let's go through my edits on the first hearing, and then I think Cheryl, who chaired the Kimball Farm discussion, has edits on the second. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So anybody have any comments or changes to my edits on the first hearing? That was on the 547 Great Road. Pretty complicated with a lot of stuff in it, so if you're okay with the way I edited.
I did. I'm okay with it. I looked through it, and I thought you did a fine job. I thought Shelley had done a fine job on us.
She did a very good job on that, yeah.
A lot captured this time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I just saw a typo that I think I created. So if you look in the paragraph starting originally, Shelley, about 5-6 lines down where it says, Mr. Ringwald stated that. I think I forgot the E in applicant. Sorry about that. Okay. Then I think it's fine. And then Kimball Farm case, Cheryl, do you want to take over, please?
Sure. I just gave Shelley my edits because they're fairly extensive. But does anyone have an extra pen? An extra one?
It's not extra.
Do you have extra, though? I don't want to steal your only. Thank you. Rod, can you pass that over?
Roseanne just got it.
Thank you. Okay, so starting with paragraph number 2, make sure these are the same, printed the same, they did. Okay, so go down to 810, and 4th line up from the top. At this point, the applicant is still determining what his best use of the property, and the extension will preserve his rights under the 40B. Because I thought we were chairing this today, I spent a couple hours reviewing the last meeting, the tape of the last meeting, and going over it. So those 2 are there.
Can I just ask you, you said determining what his best use of the property, but it says what is the best use of the property.
I know, but what was said in the meeting was that the applicant is determining what his best use of the property is.
Okay, well, it just didn't make a sentence then. What his best use of the property is.
At this point, the applicant
Okay.
is, right,
Okay.
his best, what is his best use of the
Fine,
property.
okay.
The extension will preserve his rights
Okay.
under the 40B. It's not our rights.
I just have a minor thing where it says Chair Hollinger. Should we say acting chair? Since you're not the chair of the board.
No, but I was chairing that meeting, so
Yeah,
I think
right.
it's just referring to that meeting.
I know, but I was just wondering
I don't
if
care.
active chair was more
Doesn't matter.
appropriate.
I don't care.
I think if you start the first time you reference her, call her acting chair, and then the rest of the minutes can say chair. Okay? I think that makes it clearer, don't you?
On the next page, and about the 3rd line down, about the middle, It says, "A significant amount of infrastructure there is viable now as a housing project. When it was purchased as a foreclosure, it was not viable." And then take out due to economic downturn in housing. Last year, the board granted extension for a year. Currently, there are 10 units, and he did not say 75% done. He said somewhere about 75% done. He was very vague about it. Second paragraph, it says I'm confused, and I was. And I did say I was confused. I'd like to take that out, but I did say it, so I'm going to leave it there. She is confused by, and then add in the line, the discussion of purposes that do not fit the 40B or the residential zoning, such as water parks, etc. And then strike all other possible uses. Going down to the next, Chair Hollinger read a letter from Roland Bernier confirming that statement, period. Cheryl stated, instead of who then, because Roland Bernier did not say that he had asked for those permits to be pulled. Cheryl stated the board had been asking for these permits to be pulled for the last 5 years. It is good, they are finally being pulled now.
Can I send you back 1 minute to the, she was confused, is confused about, and you said all of the purposes?
No, I strike that. All other purposes got striked. And then instead, she is confused by the discussion of purposes that do not fit the 40B or the residential zoning, such as water parks, etc.
I have no problem with the intent. I want to change your word purposes to uses, because we deal with uses on the board, we don't deal
Sure.
with purposes.
She is
That's the only
confused
thing.
by the discussion of uses.
Thank you.
I'm fine. Fine with that.
Your Honor, Attorney Ansel stated in order to grant the extension.
Yeah. Attorney Ansel stated in order to grant the extension is the options that have to show good cause, that cause being Mr. Kimball has aggressively explored other non-residential opportunities for this property, period. New sentence. When purchased in 2010, the housing market, and there should be after 2010, there needs to be a little space. The housing market was bad, and in that time, there were three failed rezoning opportunities. After pursuing different options, they felt that now the best use is utilizing the existing permits.
Just go back one more time, please. When you said, it is the applicant's position that they have to show good cause, why are you saying that cause being? That's not, that's,
He's saying that the cause that he said in the meeting that the cause, Mr. Kimball's cause for needing the extensions was that he had taken time to explore other non-residential opportunities.
Then say it that way, just because it sounds like he's alleging that good cause is exploring other opportunities.
That's exactly what he said.
But it sounds to me like you want it to say, he said he has to show good cause. He's alleging that his good cause is other opportunities.
That's that he was exploring
Other opportunities.
And that's exactly what he said.
I think it should still be 2 sentences.
Okay.
I mean, it says, I want it to say the same thing you're trying to make it say, but I want it in 2 sentences.
Okay,
So,
so
it's-
Attorney Ansel stated in order to grant the extension is the applicants, but they have to show good cause,
Right,
period?
Period. Then Mr. Ansel stated, good cause was exploring other opportunities.
Exploring other non-residential
Right, right.
opportunities. You got all that?
Just 2
Okay.
sentences, that's all. Thank
After
you.
pursuing different, and you better make that a period, and capitalize after pursuing different options, they feel this is now the best use utilizing these permits. Next paragraph is fine. I added something to Rod. Rod asked when the 40B permit is set to expire, when the building permits are expected to issue. Say the building permit is 9 years old and the town is now over 10% affordable housing. Can that factor into the decision? He stated that he would prefer the process just continue under the existing permit.
I said that? I don't remember that.
It was very well said. If you don't like it, we won't put it in there, but you did say it.
What does that add, Cheryl?
Yeah,
Rod asked a question, what does it add for him to say?
Because we had quite a discussion about that.
yeah. Well, the
Whether or
next
not we could
paragraph
just
covers it.
continue to continue it under we had quite about the existing permit and how far along they have to be with having pulled the permits, how far they've had to, I mean, it was a 10 or 15 minutes that sentence covers, but I guess it doesn't matter. I don't care if you don't want that sentence there, I don't care.
I think just add a question mark after decision.
Yeah, I don't see what the sentence adds, that's all.
No.
Okay, I'm all right with
Yeah.
taking that back out.
Yep.
I don't feel strongly about that one. Okay, going down, we're looking in the third line down, the next paragraph. I crossed out based on the facts and put, the board discussed that if the permits are being pulled, the board can ask the construction move right along and grant a short time of extension to see if it is in good faith and that the 40B will be built. And then it goes back to not just using the existing permit to get other concessions.
Okay,
And then Cheryl Hollinger stated she had discussed with town council what would be a reasonable time to get going with construction for a decision was 6 months.
it still doesn't make a sentence for me. Can you tell me again what it's?
Stated she had discussed with town council what would be a reasonable time to get going with construction for a decision was 6 months. We had to make a decision, we had to grant a decision or an extension, I guess extension, instead of decision.
It still doesn't make a sentence for me. I don't know what you're getting at. Just, Chair Hollinger stated, she discussed with town council what would be a reasonable time to get going with construction, period. Then what are you trying to say? He said, or you think? What's the next
He
thing?
suggested,
He suggested an extension for 6 months would be reasonable? How's that?
sure.
I just wanted to read like you can read it, okay? Thanks.
Well, that came up in a discussion. I'm not sure whether it's his suggestion or mine, and that's not how I said it in the meeting. Discuss with town council a reasonable time to expect the applicant to get going with construction
How
and
about
a
it was
decision
just-
that would benefit it.
How about it was just, 6 months was discussed as a reasonable time. How's that?
Okay,
6
that's
months
fine.
was discussed as a reasonable time.
That's fine. And is that it? I think that's, oh, one more. Top of the next page, Attorney Ansel stated that they're requesting, okay, go down to, they have a good handle on the housing demand. He believes this is a viable project, which it was not 2 years ago.
You're just adding the word which?
No, I added he believes.
Oh, he believes, okay.
This is
Okay,
a
that's fine.
viable
Yeah,
project,
that's
which
fine.
it was not 2 years ago.
That's fine.
And I started to add a bunch of stuff and decided not to bother.
Okay.
That is,
The good news is that people can see it on, those tapes get saved forever. Yeah, I mean, people can see it, the detail on tape now, so the minutes can be a little less detailed than they used to be.
I wanted these to be detailed in case
Yeah.
if they ever get questioned about them.
I have no problem with that.
And so I was really being a little difficult about them, sorry. Because I'm a little,
You're not difficult, that's what you're supposed to do. You were chairing it, you're supposed to do that. Okay, so then the motion was a written motion by Chris Heap, so you don't have to modify any of that, right?
no, that's, and she got it just right.
Okay.
And that was a very, very difficult hearing, and I'm being picky, and I appreciate Shelley's patience.
So go back now to Chair Gould, reopen the hearing for 547 Great Road, and does anybody have any other discussions on that? Again, this was a sort of contentious one, and the neighbors had a lot to say, and I want to be sure they were represented in these minutes. I tried to make sure Shelley made sure she got everything in that they commented on,
Well,
and
I agree with you. The main thing on this, since we had a further meeting, is the neighbor comments, and they are identified and specific, and I think this represents their concerns.
yeah. and I think they were all very thoughtful, well-reasoned, and important to the process.
Oh, there was one thing I had on that. I had one change on this. Asked for clarification whether the restaurant asked why. Stated that contra dancing is held twice a month at the Unitarian Church. That sounds like, because it's out of context, it sounds like it's way out of
Where-
blue there.
Where are you?
I'm at the top of the page where it starts Cheryl Hollinger.
Yeah.
Stated that contra dance is held twice a month at Unitarian Church, and is, could you please add the phrase, "and is not disruptive"
That's fine.
to the neighborhood? Then there was some place where supposedly I said that that construction was bad, manufacturing was bad.
You did.
Well, I think I said, maybe that's the next set of
You
minutes.
said Stoneyard.
I did mention Stoneyard, where is that?
Cheryl Hollinger.
Where are you?
I'm on the last page where it's voted, about half a paragraph and then two more down, or the third paragraph down. Cheryl Hollinger commented that the meditation center alone, you kept interchanging meditation and mediation, and I'm
Oh,
getting
right.
mixed up.
Cheryl Hunt, meditation alone would not be fine.
Financially viable.
Can you
Worried-
strike the word "bad" and put "worried that a manufacturing building"?
Fine.
How about worried that a manufacturing building could be put up there if the conditions made the business unfeasible. She thinks it could use the property. If this owner goes away, something like Stoneyard could go and do the zoning.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Those are fine.
just don't want the word "bad."
Okay.
It sounds like I'm
And then to be picky, the next paragraph down, the last sentence, change which add to traffic issues to that add to traffic issues, because I don't say which. My picky thing.
What did you say?
It's, the second paragraph, the parking lot separated, that add to traffic issues.
are separated.
That, you want to say that instead of which?
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good comment that you made. I didn't want to mess with it. Okay, so everybody okay with that? And that takes care of the very difficult June minutes. Can I have a motion to approve them as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed? No.
July is simple.
I thought you did those already. They didn't vote those? But I did,
No,
but I
because
amended them.
they hadn't done the June ones, and it was a continuation of the
All right,
547.
so-
They looked at them, but they just didn't vote them.
We are past 7:25, and you know what I am going to do is put the next minutes to the end of the night, because I'm calling the 7:25 meeting and starting with an apology. So 7:25, we'll open the continued hearing of case number 857A, hearing of Dwight Long and Mary Lou Rosardi, a request for approval under section 152-1 of the Littleton Town Code for a pool fence to be located greater than 25 feet from the edge of the pool apron at 363 King Street. I want to start with a couple of comments. We have new members on our board tonight, and for those of you who weren't here earlier, Roseanne Bales is a recently appointed alternate member. Rod Stewart and Alan Bell, who were alternates, have been approved by the selectmen to move up to permanent membership. The board configuration changed a bit, so bear with me while I try to go over the policies and procedures for the benefit of any newcomers. So what we do first is we read the notice, and then we hear from the applicant who states their position. Then the board gets to ask questions of the applicant for clarification. Then we open it up to any abutters, and then the applicant gets to rebut. We read any comments from the building inspector as part of the process, and anybody else who's made a comment. We also reference the zoning bylaws. What I want to tell Mrs. Long is, I apologize to you.
I'm the representative on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Suzanne
Okay.
McDonough.
I don't think I was here for her first hearing, so I'm sorry I didn't even recognize. But when it was discovered that this fence was necessary due to a town code rather than a zoning issue on the zoning bylaw, both the building inspector and Shelley asked me what I thought, and I said it could be handled by an amendment to the decision that we had already rendered, because the applicant had shown the pool on the plans, had shown that fence on the plans, everything was already shown on the plans. I was not available that meeting when you came back to that, and unknown to me, my vice chair felt it required a whole new filing and notice, and, not a filing though, just notice, right?
Notice
Just notice.
and a butter
Yeah.
notification.
So we did not, I think, charge again. We didn't charge another fee, but I apologize that there was a delay and that you had to come back. And so you're here tonight, and why don't you show us or tell us what's going on? I'll read the building inspector's letter and any others.
It basically just harkens back to that fence design, which was on the original plan, and we were unaware of this 25-foot rule, because there's no other town in the state that has anything like it. So when the pool contractor wanted to come get the building permit, it brought everything to the forefront. And I called and talked to Roland, and then thus we ended up with the hearing the last time and talked about that. It still remains the same, but we just wanted to kind of a formal decision on what the thinking is on that.
So for the benefit of the board, if you have the plan in front of you, this plan has not changed since the date that you approved these.
Well, we actually asked that the fence be moved within 1 foot of the property line. Does this plan reflect that, or is this, did you bother having a plan moved?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to read the statement from the building inspector, and then we'll take a vote, and then we'll see what we do about this. 363 King Street, a letter from the building commissioner, zoning officer. The applicant seeks a special permit waiver from the General Code, Section 152-1, that requires a suitable cover or a fence or structure at least 4 feet high with necessary gates for entrance and exit, and such fence or structure shall not be more than 25 feet from the outside edge of the pool apron. This general law was voted in 1977 as a mechanism to provide protection and safety of the inhabitants of the town from all swimming pools now existing or hereafter constructed or installed outdoors for public or private use. Since that time, the Massachusetts State Building Code adopted a set of more stringent standards that address life safety issues regarding swimming pools. The proposed installation complies with the current Mass Building Code. You don't happen to have a copy of the town code, do you? It's my memory that the reason this is even before us is because that was about the only thing in the town code that they said the zoning board of appeals would have jurisdiction over, because we've done these pool things before. So, again, I'm sorry you're here. I'm sorry that it didn't happen automatically last time, and I'll ask the board their pleasure.
I think we understand the issue. You presented it at the last meeting. We've had these cases before, so we may,
I don't think we need a discussion.
I agree, yeah.
I think we can close the hearing.
Okay, Sherry, you want to move to
I'd like to
close?
move, we close the hearing.
Second.
Roseanne, let me catch you up real quick. Real fast. Many years ago, there was a drowning and a knee-jerk reaction of a child, and a knee-jerk reaction was to insist that all fences had to be very close to pools, and we put that zoning law in place. Since then, all sorts of other safety provisions have been made, and these rules or laws are just a little bit outdated. So sometimes these come in front of us because they just can't fit the landscaping, and so this is what's happened. And unfortunately, their plan came before us before, and we didn't recognize that the fence didn't fit that parameter, and so they have had to come back.
So I have a motion and a second to approve this request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. I would like to ask the board if you would join me in asking that Roland or the selectmen take a look at that town code, and ask the selectmen if they would consider removing it, since the state building code is more stringent, we don't need it anymore. Can we do that maybe by letter?
Sure.
Anybody on the board agree or disagree with me? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do we have to actually vote it? We closed
We
it.
did. Yeah, I clo-
Okay.
Oh, we just closed it and didn't vote it? I'm sorry.
closed it and didn't vote
Sorry,
it.
we just closed it. Okay, now I need a motion for it.
I make a go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead.
I move that we vote to provide a special permit for the sake of this fence application.
Let's call it special permit / waiver, okay? As they've requested. Second?
Second, I second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No, thank you. Okay.
That's it, meets the state building.
Calling the 7:30 hearing, it's 7:43. Case number 863A of RD Kennard Custom Homes, Inc., request for a variance pursuant to Section 173-31 Intensity of Use Schedule and 173-B1 Non-Conforming Uses and Structures for a proposed garage addition at 18 White Pine Drive. Roger,
Yes.
you're up.
Okay, well, this subdivision was put together, I think, in 1952, and this house was probably built around 57. And back then, of course, the husband went to work and mom stayed home with one car, and things have changed today. They have both people working. Both people like to put their cars in the garage. Other than that, we're bringing the laundry upstairs, out of the basement, behind the garage. It's also right in the closet. If you're facing the house, the garage would be on the left. There's an existing garage here now that's just a little small to get a car in. We will have just about 9 feet left over to maintain that side of the house, as far as putting the ladder up. We shouldn't encroach on the butter. On the opposite side of the house, there's about 19 to 20 feet in case we had to get to the rear for a septic repair. And that's about it.
Did you look at the houses in the area? What is the rule? They have to do more?
Only that's a frontage rule only.
That's a
That's a frontage rule only. So let me just catch.
This
the-
house looks like it's on the edge, so they'll come over this way and close the gap.
Yeah, I have a picture of the house.
If I can just call your attention. Roseanne, did you get a copy of the zoning bylaw yet? Okay, so...
She actually read it.
And actually, Shelley, do we have the others yet? Because
This is in the file.
Sorry, I was watching the selectmen's hearing.
I just want a bound copy when they come out. So let's first go so that we can discuss this. First, we're going to go to the non-conforming uses and structures, section 17310.
I didn't bring my...
It's okay. And the first thing you do with a non-conforming use and structure, the first thing you need to do is identify all the ways in which the current configuration is non-conforming. So what we have is insufficient frontage at 100 feet
Correct, yeah.
and insufficient lot size at
It's 10,000 square feet.
10,000 square
Currently,
feet.
yes.
Your rear setback currently is okay, it's more than 15?
Yep.
Your side setbacks currently are okay, they're more than 15?
Yes.
And your front setback is currently okay, right?
Over 30.
31, okay.
Do we want to say non-conforming rather than insufficient?
Well, his current setback's 32.
Sure, non-conforming. So the lot size is non-conforming?
Right.
And the frontage is non-conforming.
Right. But
Now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make a new non-conformity, and that translates to a variance under the most recent version of the adopted bylaw. So to get a variance, he has to establish that the property is unique, that there is a hardship, and that the desired relief can be granted without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of the bylaw. Now, in this case, he's asking for a sideline variance of 8.7 feet, or sideline setback of 8.7 feet.
and a decrease in the front setback from 32.2 to 31.
31 is okay. We
31
don't,
is-
that doesn't
it's
affect us.
30.
Oh, still, because we're 30, okay.
Yeah. So, now, board members, any questions?
Letters?
Not yet, board members.
Well, usually a variance is referenced to some type of natural feature that would require relief from the zoning. In this case, we're referencing the size of a garage. It's not a natural feature. And, your site engineer mentioned, that we have in the past, or this board has in the past, granted variances for similar projects in this neighborhood and in some of the other neighborhoods in town,
Right across the street.
which is correct. And usually, we're guided by that with, reactions by neighbors. What the reaction is and how the neighborhood feels about it. So I would, withhold my comments until I hear from any neighbors who have to speak about it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, in looking at the map here, just what dawned to me was, if you were to reconfigure this proposed garage addition here, so that in fact, we've got a whole lot of driveway there, right? So that in fact, if you were to come around this way and into the garage that way, you could have a longer garage, would have much more setback. You could take advantage of some of the front property there. It might be just a different configuration, but it might provide you with more flexibility.
To come into the side of the garage? Yeah. You need a 35-foot setback minimum to come into the side.
Well, you're from White Pine Drive to the back of the building now is what?
30.
That's 31 feet there?
From the rear setback or the front?
From the back of the existing house, which lines up with the back of the garage, right?
Yep.
To the street that's 31 feet?
No, to the rear is 30 feet.
Come up here, Alan, can you come up here and show him on your plan and let him show you on the plan what he's
Sure, what
talking about?
what I'm looking at is like right here. So from here to here, that's a lot of space, right? So if we're going to take this and move it out, right? And there are some other homes that have done this that I looked at earlier today. So you could do like that. You could have your driveway come up like this, and you could come in this way. You could put 2 or 3 cars probably in that way. It'd also could be a nice feature. You could have more lawn here too for your house.
Yeah, I build houses, so you need 35 feet from this point to that lot line. Just so you go to it
Okay, just a thought.
It also, you have to establish a hardship. Cheryl went out. Rod, do you want to speak?
Yeah, going down to about 8 feet, I'm looking at this Google map, and it looks like the house to the left is favored to its right side of the property line, so going to be reducing the distance between the garage and that house by a fair amount. I don't know if the abutters here that lives in that house wants to comment, but, down to about 8 feet, that sounds kind of tight.
Do we have an abutter? You're not that neighborhood, are you?
I did talk to her. She was in opposition. In fact, she brought me through the house and
So
a few other things.
I'll wait for Cheryl to comment when she comes back too, but I have a comment or two, Roger. One thing I want to make clear is that granting a variance to another property does not set a precedent. We're not a court of law, and so the fact that another variance was granted in this neighborhood at another time doesn't set any precedent here. And the property that was cited was totally different because that was an open farmer's porch, and that encroached on the front setback in a tight neighborhood, which is a pretty common thing. I think what Rod says is relevant, that you're requesting to encroach on a side setback when you have a neighbor very close, and if she needs to do anything, even to bump out a bay window, the properties are going to be very close together. My only question to you is this, and this is what I usually do when I'm faced with this. Our bylaw says 15 feet for an attached garage, but for some reason our bylaw says 10 feet for a freestanding garage.
Right.
And so it never bothers me to grant a variance that brings the sideline setback to 10 feet. 8.7 begins to bother me. And so I'm just wondering, if you move this down to 23 or 23 and a half, and I know builders like round numbers and
Right.
even numbers, but I think a two-car wide garage can be done in 22 feet or 23 feet. Can't you get to a 10-foot number for us?
I can do that. Sure.
Because I would feel a lot better about, at least we haven't violated what you could do with a detached structure.
Sure.
And that way we have a justification to the neighbor that we did something that was reasonable. The other thing I think Jeff was getting at, and you can say it yourself, but I think we've often said on this board, you can't have everything you want under a variance, you have to only get what you need.
Well, Bill used to say
Bill
that.
used to say that, but it's true, on variances for hardship. And 22 versus 24, I don't think there's a hardship to get the extra 2 feet.
It's fine, a 22-foot garage is workable.
Sure.
And that's a good point, Sherry.
You can actually have a 23-foot garage and still have 10 feet.
No, it would be 9.7,
Oh, I see.
but I don't care if you go
22 would
10.
be safe.
Yeah.
We'd have a little more than 10.
Well, we
That's
would,
fine.
we would write a decision saying no closer than 10 feet. And then you could come up with whatever dimension, you require with, apart from that 10 feet.
And Ross did the plan. This is a certified plot plan, it's not an engineered plan. If he finds another foot when he engineers it, that's fine too. I'm not going to limit the size of the garage. What I'd like to do is limit the size, the setback variance that we gave you. Okay.
He did the survey over there as well.
Okay, so he knows it's really 8.7.
Yeah.
And I know you build a beautiful home. The other thing I felt, just in looking at it, and this is probably me being a girl and not seeing distance on paper, because I think this is, but it seemed awfully elongated for me. Is that just the way, because it's low profile?
Oh, as far as looking at the front of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only got a 5 pitch on the roof.
Yeah.
Typical ranch of its day.
I like that you're turning the gable over the garage. That looks nice. Anybody else want to comment? Roseanne, we do ask for alternates to comment. Do you want to make some comment on this one? No other discussion? Let's read what Roland has to say. 10 White Pine, the applicant seeks a variance to allow the removal of an existing single-stall garage and construct a new two-stall garage. The lot is pre-existing, non-conforming in size and lot frontage as outlined in the David Ross letter dated October 1, 2015. The existing dwelling and garage on the lot is conforming on both front, sides, and rear setback. Removal of the single-stall garage and constructing a new two-stall garage creates a new nonconformity by encroaching on the required side setback, and the applicant rightly seeks a variance. No further comment. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close.
I move to close the hearing of case 863A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, entertain a motion for the variance.
I move that the board grant the request for a variance pursuant to section 17331, intensity of use schedule with reference to the side setback, such that the addition will conform to a 10-foot setback along the side for the proposed garage addition.
And those reference to plans substantially as shown in the plans.
Yeah. As shown in the plans prepared, there's a name on it. I think it's Wilson. Prepared by Wilson Homes. Is there a date? No. Showing the garage addition.
I got a date on the Wilson thing of, no, right, I don't. Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. It'll be nice.
Thank you.
Boy,
Solomonic.
And, okay, I'll open the next hearing. It's called the shuffle. My grandson calls it shoveling, shoveling the cards. I'm opening the 7:45 hearing, case number 864A, Matthew Field, M&M Realty, request for a special permit or a variance pursuant to section 173, 10B1, non-conforming uses and structures to allow change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use at 27 Dahlia Drive. Mr. Clerk, we don't have a vice chair, Mr. Clerk. I need to stand down because I have a financial interest in the outcome of this matter, and I have represented the Fields in the past. We don't have a vice chair, so the clerk stands in for the acting chair on this hearing. And that means you have to appoint the voting alternate.
Okay. We have our new alternate, we need 5. So would you care to be a voting member on this?
she doesn't have a
He
choice.
doesn't have a choice.
You just appoint her. You're being very
I
nice.
appoint you the voting alternate. Okay.
I am an almost neighbor. I don't know.
Okay.
Are you within 100 feet?
300 feet.
300 feet?
Did you get a notice? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
She,
she has to stand down. She's within 300 feet. You can stay in the room
Does she have
as a
any
neighbor,
financial
but you
interest?
have to stand down. I had that situation, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, I think if you go along the back of the lot, I am within 300 feet.
You are allowed to stay in the room, you're allowed to make comments as a neighbor, you're allowed to be heard as a neighbor. You just can't sit up here and you can't be a voting member.
Yeah. Okay.
I had the same
Yeah.
situation happen with my property.
Yeah, no, in all fairness.
I'm just going to...
We don't mind either way.
Yeah, I think it can be, if she's not direct, I think it can be asked if anybody has an objection to her
Oh, wait.
participating in the hearing.
Because with Alan, I had to, even though I'm not a direct abutter,
That was a different story, and there was objection, or likely to be. So let me just see.
okay.
Where do you live? Orchid Drive. I'm right.
Right behind the septic we just did?
Yes.
Oh, you're a lawyer?
Yes.
Oh, good. How'd you like the system? Came out nice.
The system came out nice. I did talk to Mrs. Ham about the trees that are
Okay.
eventually going to pass away because of the fill, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
You just need to come to some agreement as to who's going to,
Between you two?
yeah. They're mostly trees that are being shown.
The scrub trees anyway. They're terrible, they're terrible trees.
They have to be taken down.
Yes,
That's
And that's what I talked to her tonight about it. I said, it's you know, it's in your best interest to work.
Make a neighbor happy is what I told her.
Oh, yeah, and she came over.
Oh, peek all you want.
I have to leave.
Do you want to look at the plan, with the whole site
We
plan?
have to clarify where she's sitting. If we can have her up here, it'd be nice, because it'd be nice to have 5 people.
You see the houses that we built on Shoreham in Washington?
So we can show.
Where's Roland's comments?
I'm Matt.
I just have her.
I don't think I've met you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Have I met you?
I think so.
Kids our age, same age? 26 and 23.
Electronic.
Roland's thing.
Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Melissa works for us in the real estate.
Actually,
Is
I
it
think she
two-bedroom
was
house?
getting in touch with Melissa because she's looking for this kind of
Oh, good.
parcel.
Oh, you want to stay in town? We've got a lot of apartments.
Right here,
Do you?
Yeah.
and this right here, and this right
We
here.
should. I'm redoing a really nice one anyway. Building across the street from my real estate.
Otherwise, it's bigger.
King Street. I own Berkshire Hathaway. That's what I said.
So,
There's one across the street, and then we're building 10 on Golden Street, and I have an apartment building on Harvard.
Tearing down.
I have two houses.
Right now, she's living in 380.
Technically, the rule says,
So,
I'm sorry, did you start?
if you,
No.
no, we're just,
Technically, the rule says, an abutter should recuse. When should you recuse yourself? A financial interest in the property, or a business relationship, or being an abutter, or having a family member with a financial interest in the case. Technically, an abutter to an abutter does not have to recuse, but should announce, and then ask if any objection exists.
Where does the 300 feet come in?
The 300 feet is so that you're in the neighborhood and you can come in and speak to it, and
That's the legal
the
requirement.
legal
for
requirement,
notification.
they consider you affected by the outcome.
An
So you
abutter
have
by
to-
law is just somebody who touches the property line or is directly across. That's the
Okay,
definition.
so you need to ask if there's any,
She needs.
she needs to ask if there's any objection to, you disclose the fact that you are
Within
within,
300 feet.
you are a butter to a butter, and ask if there are any objections in the room to your continuing, and anyone, either on this table or in the room, can object. If they object, then you sit down, otherwise you stand.
Okay. So is there an objection by anybody in the room that I?
None by us,
Participate.
none by the applicant.
any-
You have no issue.
you suggested that you feel you can be unbiased in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so, first, why don't you present the project?
Thank you for seeing us. So we're here, Michael and I have purchased these two properties on the corner of, this is on the corner of Grove and Dahlia, and this is the property just to the right of it. These are two properties, this is occupied. This woman just bought another property up in Shirley and just moved out a month ago, and we're allowing the fire department to play in there. So what we propose to do are raising these two homes, building this home and this home in that area. We are going to move them and make them more conforming on the lot lines. You'll see that this home is approximately 3 feet to the right of the lot line. Both are encroaching on the road, as well as, can I have, Shelley, a plan? We had a big plan, or? I gave
There might be
two
one more.
large
I
sets.
just gave one to Ann.
I gave two huge ones.
There might be one more.
I don't have full size, I have a size here.
Also, for the benefit of the camera, can we?
Sure. Where would you like it?
Where do we put the board?
I think that's the camera, isn't it?
Well, it's, yeah.
I think he can fix on it.
What's that?
I think he can fix on it that way, because he fixes.
If you'd like, I'll put it up on the table.
He's got it.
Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah,
You can see it
okay.
there.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So this house right here.
Yes. So you'll see,
That's 12 feet now.
yeah, you'll see the home, this home right here is 3 feet off the lot line, off the right lot line. It is 12 feet 9 from the street. We are moving it back, this home, which is in,
In the
there.
area.
We're moving it back 22 feet, and we're moving it 12 feet to the lot line. This home is 11 feet 4 inches, and we are moving it back 18. And then we're moving
Sides
it
are
from Grove Road to 12 feet from 9 feet, looks like 1 or 7, I can't tell how many inches it is. We're adding a new septic system in the rear.
The systems that were there were failed as well.
Both of them failed.
Could you talk about the wall that's going around 3 sides of the property?
3 sides. That's a retaining wall to meet Title V compliance.
And
It is the same wall that we,
It is, on the back side, it's about 201 in 201, so in the back it's going to be a foot higher. And on the side setback, the top of wall is 202, and the bottom of the wall is 199.5.
So it's less than 4 feet?
Yes.
At all places. And is,
Yep.
and how far off the property line is it?
It's 1 foot. The wall would have to go in that location regardless if we took the houses down or not to comply with the new septic systems that we're going to put in.
Have you had the septic system approved by the Board of Health?
No, we have not yet. We've done all our testing. It's designed and it's submitted to the Board of Health.
So explain how it works. So you have a single property with 2 houses on it.
Yeah.
And that, how does that work with the single septic? I'm just
Well,
curious.
you're
This
allowed
is
to
a
have
new-
shared, under Title V, you're allowed to use shared septic systems.
Okay.
It's the same as the units up on the Acton line.
You'll have a homeowners association.
Pertaining to the maintenance and the pumping.
In the past, we've refused to discuss cases that are pending Board of Health approval. We've asked that they get, especially when the variances and setbacks are determined by septic system, a pending septic system, we refuse to hear it until after they have the Board of Health approval.
I don't think we can reduce.
That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
We certainly did with Mr.,
We don't, we don't design or consider the Board of Health issues, but if they go with this plan to the Board of Health and it's approved, it's approved. If it's not approved, it's not approved. And if they had to modify this plan based on what the Board of Health says, they'd have to come back. So, the issues here are, you are replacing 2 houses, you are not increasing, though it's a non-conforming, and you have a
It's a
list of,
non-conforming
you
lot.
have a list of the non-conforming, we have lot size is non-conforming, frontage is non-conforming, front setback is non-conforming, side setbacks are non-conforming, rear setback is conforming, and in the new structures, you are not increasing any of the non-conformities.
We're actually making them significantly better. We're going from 11 feet 4 to 18, from 12 feet 9 to 22. On the 3-bedroom, the existing non-conforming side setback, no increase. We're on the 2-bedroom, going from 3 feet to 12 feet.
So the issue, and Shelley, you can help me out, the issue here is whether you should be allowed to tear down the existing homes and rebuild new ones, or to partially tear down the existing homes and incorporate, and this is a legal technicality, and if you partially tear down, and that means 98% tear down.
Mr. Yates,
Yeah.
can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Before we purchased, we went and spoke to Mr. Bernier to make sure that what
I
we're doing
understand.
is
Oh, sorry.
absolutely
I
right.
apologize.
one of those nights.
Sorry.
So, if you left certain, some aspect of the existing homes and rebuilt these new ones, this would be a special permit. Or wouldn't even be a special permit, it would be,
I think we're asking.
We're asking for a special.
you're asking for a special
Yes.
permit,
Yes.
which you would need because you want to tear them down.
Correct.
And Mr. Bernier's attitude,
They're changing the sizes dramatically too.
Well, but the size
The law
isn't-
says, no, the rule's saying about leaving a existing part is then you can't increase the size.
no, that's not,
I thought it, doesn't it?
no.
We're
You're
actually
shaking your
decreasing
head.
the size of one of the units.
This unit we do.
So, with a special permit, you would be allowed to tear them down and start over, not increasing any of the nonconformities. And this, Mr. Bernier felt was desirable because the existing homes are in such poor condition.
Substandard.
Yeah.
They don't meet any codes.
They probably have rubble foundations, et cetera, et
They're
cetera.
terrible.
Okay. Are there any abutters to speak to
There
this?
isn't a butter, me.
Okay, and would you identify yourself?
Yes, Anne Laurie, 39 Dahlia Drive,
And that is where relation...
up the hill,
Okay,
not on the map.
okay.
And I'm just curious as to what they were doing and what they're going to build and why they needed to come before the ZBA, and they'll eventually come before us on the Board of Health, but I just was wondering what
Okay.
what they're doing.
Okay. Have you seen the board?
I did see the board, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Do you want to comment?
I have no questions, I'm just
Do you want-
trying to understand what was going on, that's all.
Okay.
Because we did get a card from Shelley,
Mhm.
so I'm here.
Okay.
Do you want to comment on what you're seeing? Are you happy with it? Are you unhappy
You know,
with
I
it? Are you
probably
good?
can't because they're going to come before me in about a month or whatever. So
Less.
I'm not sure I can comment. Exactly. Maybe I can respond according to ZBA observations, but I'm not sure I can be free at this
Well,
moment.
you're in a butter, you can...
Abutters
No,
always-
we don't have any problem.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what board you serve on, as an abutter, you can always speak to your neighbors and about your neighborhood,
Okay,
because it affects
but-
your personal property.
Yeah, and probably I won't be able to, just like Shelley recused herself, I probably will not be able to. Cheryl, I will not be able to vote on it. But the two houses that are there are kind of ugly, and I think the improvement will better the neighborhood. And that's my comment. I
Okay.
think that
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I were to go in and do a housing inspection in either one of these houses, I'm not sure they would really pass a housing inspection. So I think it's an improvement.
Okay. Are there any other abutters who want to speak? Anyone else who wants to speak? Okay. Board.
This was confusing to me.
Yes, it
But
is
for what
confusing.
Roland said in his memo, he suggests that removal of the two non-conforming structures, then rebuilding new, creates a new non-conformity, may suggest the variance. It goes on to say further down that if they would, essentially, if they were to leave pieces of the existing structure and kind of add on to it, that they could probably apply for a special permit in that case. But that, I think, what I've heard, my own opinion, and what I think Roland's saying is that just in terms of structural integrity and making sense here, it makes more sense probably to go ahead with new construction rather than to try to tack onto some piece of old construction, which would mean variance. So that's kind of how I'm reading it from what he's saying. I don't have any other wisdom to contradict that, but it seems to me that in either case, it seems like it's an improvement on many levels, and I think it's something that's worthy of support.
Thank you.
My only concern, it obviously is improvement, my only concern is density and the size of the buildings being increased, and you actually said so how many square feet does the second building end up being?
Which one would you refer to the second?
The one on the right,
This one?
yes.
The footprint of this one is the same as the footprint of that one.
The footprints stay the same,
Yes, the square
The
footage,
square footage stays the same, Charlie.
but the square footage of the house?
this square footage right here and this.
I know, but you're also putting a second story on it, and so you're doubling the size of that house.
Minus a garage and a utility room. We're raising it out of the groundwater.
Okay, but there's a full two-story on your
Correct.
Yes.
thing. Okay, and the other one on the left, I'm looking
This one
at,
is going down to a story and a half.
that
This
one's
one's
going,
going down, and this is a 4-bedroom and reducing it down to a 3-bedroom.
you're reducing it down to a
Can
three-bedroom.
we just stop for a second?
I
Jeff has
have
an
an
emergency and he has to leave.
Oh,
My daughter's
go.
been admitted to the hospital, so
Go.
I have to go. You've hit a perfect storm of the staffing of the Board of Appeals. I apologize for it.
Go.
So,
It's okay, go.
Go.
I'll step in and we'll give you the option of continuing or go, it's your decision. You can continue with us as voting members, and there are enough of us to vote it.
Sure.
Or you can continue to another meeting,
Yep.
what your preference?
Well,
Does this require a 4 out of 5 vote?
No. Well, even if it does,
Special permits, isn't it 4 out of 5?
4 out of 5?
Can we keep going around the room and I can get a feel?
Okay, so fine, let's take this opportunity to poll the board really fast.
Wait a second, so you need to know, with
We need-
just 4 voting members.
You need all 4 of us.
You need all
Right.
4.
I'm
So
going
you have
to
the
go with the
option.
poll.
He asked me to give a poll
Sure.
of how we're feeling right at the moment.
Yay.
I have a couple of questions.
Ask away.
Is this one lot?
Yes, and it's going to be like a condominium.
Okay, then I have a major problem, because our bylaw allows one dwelling on one lot. This is a very
Except for
small
this
lot.
is a pre-existing
Pre-existing
non-conformity. They have a legal right to split the property right down the middle and call it 2 lots.
No, it's not going to be 2 lots.
No, they have a legal right
to.
to, they're not going
These
to.
houses predate the subdivision control law, and they are therefore, it's allowed to have 2 houses on a lot because it's prior to the subdivision control law coming into effect.
In addition to that, they have, that's true.
I don't like
And
that.
Well, it's the way it works, Rod. In addition to that, they would by right be able to split these in half if they wanted to. I misunderstood this whole meeting coming in. I thought they were tearing down both and building one nice
If
big
they
one.
did that, I'd be happy.
But they're not. And they have the right to do it if they left part of each building to build. If you look at here,
Well, I would suggest
Here it is.
continuing,
It's
'cause I'm not quite
7310.
sure I'm in favor of this at this point.
7310B, any structure conforming may be continued if the use or structure was lawfully existing at the time that it became non-conforming, subject to the following: change, extension, alteration as provided. Such pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses may be extended or altered
Right.
on special permit, provided that such extension or alteration as permitted unless the finding, et cetera, that change, extension, or alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Yeah,
than
well,
the
this is more
existing
than
non-
just an extension or an alteration. This is a tear down and rebuild.
Which Roland recommended, because he said he'd rather see that than have them keep one wall.
Yeah, maybe, but, and I don't disagree with that, but I don't like the idea of 2 houses on one lot.
Then you may wish to continue this to the next month.
All right, I'm going to have to do some thinking about that.
We have to call it eggs or ham, we can't call it both.
Then we want a,
You have to go before the, you have to go before
instead
the,
of a special permit, let's just go with we'll leave one wall on one of the structures.
That's ridiculous.
just come, you have
I mean,
to go,
it's
you have to go to
just-
the
I
Board
mean,
of Health
yeah, but-
anyway. We're meeting December
15.
15th, we'll put you on first.
Okay.
December when?
15th. We'll put you first.
Okay.
I
Are you-
Well,
Yeah, it's-
That-
It also,
I mean, I
it also
disagree with the
requires
thinking.
us
I
that
really do.
one of our hardships is that we have to put a septic system, and that we do not have the ability to put a system in with leaving these structures the way they are.
No, I'm not arguing that, but I'm not comfortable with it, and you.
If
But
I
the
put
law
a-
states
if
it.
I
I
put
mean,
a
it
second
states it
floor on
right in our
each
zoning
structure, can
bylaw.
I do that?
Hmm?
If I leave the 2 structures the way they are, I can put second floors on them.
Yeah, what,
Then you don't need a special permit.
I'd like
The
to-
law
yeah.
of the 1 house per dwelling it's a planning board, that's under planning board, but anything that predates that subdivision control law is grandfathered, so there's no real basis for denying it. It's an allowed use to have 2 houses on 1 lot.
Really, all it's
We
gonna
may,
have
we
is
may
make us
have,
go
we may
to,
have a
and then-
meeting before December 15th, because that's, quite frankly, we haven't had a chance to discuss it yet. That's awful close to the holiday for a lot of us, and we may move the meeting up a month. We haven't,
A month?
not a month, a
A
week.
week?
We haven't had a chance to discuss that yet. You do have to go before the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Come back.
No new cases have come in, so there's nothing scheduled for December. and
Then
today
we
was
can
the
move it,
deadline,
we can move it up to the
so
first week of
if the
December,
board chooses
as far as
to
I'm
go
concerned.
A week earlier, then they can go.
Do we have to resubmit
No.
notices?
Absolutely
Or you
not.
want to continue it then?
We'll just
Continue the
continue.
hearing and pick
We'll
up on
continue it
Jeff.
based on the emergency of one of the board members and the lack of full quorum.
All right.
All right?
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Pleasure meeting you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
emergencies happen.
Yep, thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, they need a definite time.
Oh.
A time certain for continuation, and I heard you, I think.
Can we move the meeting up a week, please, Madam Chair? Does that work for everybody?
Thursday, the 10th works, showing, I'll leave it to you to find a room for us if that's taken.
And time would be 7:30.
Okay.
7:30, okay?
7:30 works for me.
On the
Thank you, Shelley.
10th. There, on the, what, 7th?
Yeah.
10.
Thursday, the
What's the second Tuesday?
second Thursday?
Third, 10th.
Thursday, the 10th.
All right, thank you.
All right, how's that?
Yep, thank you.
Gino, we have a continuance.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Apologies.
No worries.
I'm going to let you call the next case because I'm recused from that anyway, so my agenda's right there if you want to read it.
Sure.
Thought that was it.
No. Oh, you ripped it off.
Oh, that's why I ripped it off. I just make Roseanne a sign.
We have a discussion on case number 695A, Kimball Farms, Village on the Common, a request to extend the 40B comprehensive permit. They've asked for a continuance to next month, so we need to set a time for them. Let's extend them to,
7:45, because no cases can come in that time. I can't notice anything new the 10th, so 7:45.
7:45? Okay.
Say the date, please.
Oh, December 10th at 7:45.
Thank you for stepping to the plate.
Yeah, what's with his daughter?
His daughter has a, oh, God.
Something's going on with her throat.
We have people who are in the room who came in. Are you here for Kimball, or did you want to chat with the board?
I know Mr.
Talking to me?
Yeah?
Yeah, no, just came here to keep you guys company.
People to watch us and keep us
Came for
company.
Kimball.
Thank you.
Before.
Okay.
I appreciate what you said, you'd rather have it, but the question is, that she correct you, because when this grandfather, a lot was divided, and you can't say no, you know what I'm saying, or grandfather. But I appreciate what you said, you insisted that you don't like to have two houses in one lot, even though it's being divided, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Gino is elected representative of two boards in this town, the Board of Health and the Housing Authority. And I think he came here as a Housing Authority member out of curiosity and observations to listen to and hear about the Kimball property. And I appreciate your attendance and hope you can come back on December 10th.
I already marked it down,
All right.
7:45.
And in the rear, I've forgotten your name, I'm sorry. Katie.
I just left a meeting and just dropped by.
Just dropped by. Katie also sits on a board, or two. I think you're on,
Sustainability and Common Committee.
and the
I
Common
just came from
Committee,
Common Committee.
and also ran for Board of Health last year.
Committee.
Sorry, School Committee.
Do you want to tell us what's going on in the Common
Katie,
Committee?
your last name for the board, please.
Caruth, Carruth. Yeah, no, we had a great meeting and with the Common Committee, and we've just broke into two subcommittees. One to consolidate a library of all of the existing bylaws and regulations affecting the properties on the Common Committee. And then a second subcommittee affecting the Common. The second subcommittee is going to create a physical plan that shows the, survey marks as best we can find what's town property, what is private property, maybe look to what the highway department, what documentation they have, just to have a working document, to work off of, that we can then, go around the Common and see where the holes are, where the problem spots are, and, make a map, do a mapping exercise.
Can I don't know if this is your purview, as a business maybe,
Can I
Let's
ask you to
talk
let
after
me
the
finish the meeting? and
Yes.
then- And then you
Yes.
can talk offline. Katie,
Yes.
we're almost done if you want to
oh,
wait.
please.
I'd also like
Do
to
you want to do
speak
the
to...
minutes for,
Let's do July minutes next, please. The other thing I wanted to do is just some general comments. I wanted elections tonight, but I don't want to do them without Jeff, so
No.
I guess our elections are pushed. We can push them another
It'll be a
5
whole
years
other
for
year by the
you. I'll be old and ready to retire by the time. And just a
I
couple
think
of
we should elect him chair while he's gone.
administrative matters. We, in the past, have always ended up with 2 or 3 of us writing all of the decisions. There were reasons for that in terms of the availability of the members to computers and other things. I would like to start the new year off with everybody participating in decision writing, even those of you who are a little bit shy and reticent about doing it. And so...
About those of us who never get around to it.
Sharpen up your decision-writing skills. I'd also like to remind everyone that it's always a good idea to check out what's coming before us, either on Google Maps or by driving around. I sort of like driving around at the last minute because you run into the landowner there and you get a little discussion going on before the hearing.
Google
But,
Maps.
and Google Maps is a good way to do it, too. But try to come prepared for the meeting and remember to read the zoning bylaw before we get here. My other question was, as soon as you have bound zoning bylaws with the new amendments, could we get them into our hands, please? The other thing I'm concerned about, and this is silly, but I've brought it back many times, and now that Bill isn't here to fight me, I think there's an awful paper waste going on here. And I'm not the biggest conservationist in town, everybody knows that, but I really hate the paper waste. We seem to print a packet for everybody that comes to the meeting that has stuff that gets thrown away right after the meeting. It's being sent on the internet, and the only way I can get to see it is to print it off the internet, because my eyes can't read the internet that small. So now I've printed the packets twice, and I know a lot of the members don't even come and pick up their packets, because they've printed them off the internet. So maybe over time, we can all decide who would prefer to get theirs electronically and not have the packet at the meeting, who wants the packet at the meeting, and maybe we could agree that the only thing that comes to the meeting instead of all the materials is just the big plans. Because I know I have trouble reading the plan off the internet, but I can print off the internet all the printed stuff.
I think that's a great idea. I would, though, have a couple of 2 or 3, or maybe a couple sets available, though, because there are times when we just can't get to print them off in time.
Yes.
Just as a backup. And if we don't have enough, we can look on with each other. But I mean, I think that's a great idea.
And it will save you a lot of
I
work.
always picked up my packets before and stopped doing it because there were last-minute additions, and I would be rifling through my packet looking for a paper that other people had that I didn't. So, and I don't know, I feel like I used them an awful lot at the meeting. I mean, even just this meeting, even though I had looked at the cases beforehand, boy, did I misunderstand 60 Dahlia. I thought they were talking about building one particular house. I hadn't looked at it closely enough, and if I hadn't had this in front of me, I would have felt a lot more like Rod did, and been,
Well, referencing
so,
27.
referencing Dahlia,
it's not 60, I'm sorry, 27 Dahlia.
I did not think the packet was completed according to the instructions, and it was not clear in the submittal what they were looking for. So I don't think that was a function of whether you had the materials or not. I don't think the materials were given to us in advance.
But if I hadn't had the materials here, and I just was relying on what I'd gotten before, I would have been very grumpy to be so confused.
Well, like I said, let's think about it. I think, like Alan said, 2, 3 packets here we could share, and maybe all the plans, a set of plans for everybody, and then all the printed stuff maybe could go out electronically. Just think about it. And then the next thing is the July minutes. So,
Why did you put them away?
I've gone through it, and I just see a typo tonight, but it was probably mine. He was, administrative matters, he was not at the commencement of the continued hearing. And then I filled in Phil's last name for you, and then I think they're very good. Your minutes are always very good. I don't have a problem with them.
I have a couple of suggestions.
Go ahead.
Third paragraph, it got a little awkward there. Cheryl Colley Hollinger is more concerned with this being so restrictive that the business does not succeed. I'd suggest a period there. She is more concerned with
She is
noise.
also, I've got to change there from more to also.
She's
She is
also
also concerned.
with noise from people smoking, period. She said there should be a designated smoking area that is not on Beaverbrook Road, period.
We had a big discussion about the fact the business next door does not allow smoking on its property anymore, so groups of employees are going out to Beaverbrook Road and smoking and talking on the road, and they're laughing and having fun, and they're loud. I went to the property, and everything was quiet except for, and I could hear them quite a ways away. They're nice, perfectly reasonable, but that could be very annoying if it was late at night during a wedding.
The next sentence, Alan voiced disappointment that there is a restriction on content of the music. And would rather have a volume limitation.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Move to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Oh, President, I should have had you vote, except you weren't here, so it doesn't make a difference. Okay.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Just go back a motion for me and tell me. Oh, all those in favor? I did it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just go back one, I'm trying to do Bill's job and my job. I'm sorry, I'll get into a rhythm by the next meeting. Who made the motion the last, on
To adjourn,
July-
Cheryl.
July minutes?
July minutes.
That was Cheryl with Alan second?
Alan and Cheryl seconded.
Thank you.
I was going to say, Shelley's got those.
I know, but Bill used to always keep them at my left arm, and what came in handy is when we knew, when he had who the voting members were on the continued hearings. So,
Okay.
Sherry, did you get that? That I moved to accept the minutes, and then she seconded that?
yeah,
And then the reverse for the adjourn.
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't
so-
usually have such exciting meetings, or such fast ones.
Right, zoning.
Are we off? Can we click it off?